Ken Trahan with Lenny Vangilder from the Mercedes-Benz Superdome. It's our first NBC Bank weekend preview brought to you by First NBC Bank with 31 locations throughout the greater New Orleans area. It's a big weekend for football. Behind us, we have the outstanding team, St. Thomas Aquinas from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, practicing as part of the All-State Sugar Bowl Prep Football Showcase, where they take on the John Curtis Patriots, two teams ranked in the top 5 nationally, depending on which polls you look at. What a showdown that will be as part of a big high school football weekend here, Lenny.
Yeah, great doubleheader here. Of course, kicks off with St. Paul's Jesuit at 6 o'clock. This game will get underway at 9. And let's not forget, over at Tad Gormley, you've got Carr and St. Aug going head-to-head. You might arguably have the two biggest high school football games in America tomorrow night being played in the city of New Orleans.
No question. When you look at the players on these teams, where they're ranked, where they're going to college, and so forth, it's amazing. So just another great high school football weekend. Follow it all at sportsnola.com with our scoreboard on Friday night. Every game in the state. Best scoreboard you'll find in conjunction with Ken Trahan's original prep football report on WGSO 990 AM and our 11 stations all over the state, starting at 6:05 Friday night. Of course, the New Orleans Saints play in this building. They won't be in this building this weekend because they'll be playing at the Ship over in Tampa Bay against the Buccaneers. Another big divisional game, Lenny, in the afternoon. No doubt the Bucs will make the Saints wear black. It's going to be hot.
Yeah, it should be nice and toasty out there. Sean Payton's got his team practicing outside this week, getting ready for those types of conditions. You're right, they'll probably be wearing black. But, one thing that Sean Payton is the master of is preparing his team for whatever the conditions and whatever the atmosphere and whatever any other types of things that his team's going to have to face as an obstacle. They will be ready for it, no doubt about that.
The NFL's week to week, but going off of last week, the Saints played well. The Buccaneers did not.
Yeah, but Sean Payton is, as Curtis Johnson pointed out last week, Sean Payton is one who likes to say that the most desperate team is one that can win the game. Are the Buccaneers more desperate than the Saints at this point, with the Saints a game on the field and the Bucs maybe don't want to get themselves 2 games behind the 8 ball at this point? That is the one thing that probably scares you about a Tampa Bay team finally coming back home. It'll be it'll be a good test, certainly.
Yeah, as Josh Freeman goes, so go the Bucs. But I really think if the Saints can slow down the Buccaneers' running game, they'll be in good shape. The biggest concern for the Saints, Lenny, has to be their defensive line with the injury issues there.
Certainly, without a doubt. If John Jenkins may have to start and play the majority of the game at nose tackle, his second NFL game. Yeah, that's a big difference there. One interesting thing about Sean Payton as well, this is going to perhaps be the first time he gets a chance to pitch a complete game in Tampa in 3 years. 2 years ago, if you remember, early in the game, that was the game he got hurt, and of course last year he wasn't anywhere. Nevertheless, Tampa. So got a chance to actually be on the sidelines for 60 minutes for the first time since 2010 down there.
The LSU Tigers 2-0. They have another glorified scrimmage against Kent State on Saturday, and we're not trying to be flippant. It's simply a fact. They will have far more talent, and they should win very easily, Lenny. It's simply a matter of A, staying healthy, and B, getting playing time for some younger players once again.
Well, it's a good thing playing Kent State this year instead of last year. It was a very good team a year ago. It was a top 25 team, but they've got some losses, and LSU, as they should be, is heavily favored to win this game. Of course, it gears up in a hurry starting next week with Auburn, followed by Georgia. Florida, Alabama, Texas A&M, all down the pike, but it's SEC play starts next week, and this is your last tune-up for that.
Jeremy Hill back last week will only make them better, but what's been most impressive about LSU thus far has been the play of Zach Mettenberger and his 2 primary receivers, Jarvis Landry and Odell Beckham Jr.
Yeah, no question about it. Two New Orleans area receivers have been outstanding, and all of a sudden LSU's got a significant passing game on their hands, something that a lot of people thought we wouldn't see under Les Miles, whether you had the talent or didn't.
Tulane, of course, on the road Thursday night at Louisiana Tech. Underdog there. Tech's been good in recent years. First-year coach, still a good team. Uphill battle for Tulane coming off of an extremely disappointing loss.
Yeah, it's interesting. This is the first time going back to the 60s that Tulane's playing an interstate rival in a conference game. It's only going to last 1 year, though, because Tulane's going to the American after this, and Tech's going to stay in Conference USA. So this will be the one and only time that they will face off as conference rivals. Reading some of the stories out of North Louisiana, what was interesting to me is that are people still ticked off in Ruston about some of the things that happened post-Katrina with Tulane? They feel like they were great. Tulane, of course, spent the fall of 2005 in Ruston, and maybe they weren't such gracious recipients of being up there, that they didn't like the conditions they had to deal with. Then again, we all face difficult conditions. But then Tech wanted to try to schedule a home and home after that. Tulane wouldn't play them. So, that's will that be a little chip on Louisiana Tech's shoulder come Thursday night?
They're both coaches removed, players removed from that. We'll see. Tulane 7-0 against Tech all time, but this year is this year, and it will be a tough test for Tulane to win on the road. We'll see what happens. It's going to be a great weekend all around, Lenny. We certainly look forward to it.
Yeah, we do. We'll talk about it, everything that happens come up on Monday.
That's our First NBC Bank weekend preview, brought to you by First NBC Bank, with 31 locations throughout the greater New Orleans area and beyond. That's First NBC Bank. For Lenny, I'm Kenny. Have a great weekend, and God bless you.